Documentation. For today's presentation, we'll be looking at documentation and types of documentation. Documentation. This is a way of maintaining a system of organized and accurate paperwork or material that may be in the form of a hard copy or a soft copy and can serve as a reference or record for a variety of reports, meetings, etc. It is important to complete all documents or administrative duties as it demonstrates professionalism, provides helpful guidance for performance, and shows any actions taken while performing duties and responsibilities for your role. Documentation of administrative duties must be done thoroughly, be truthful, and submitted in a timely manner. Types of documentation. We'll be looking at BOSS checklist, petty cash, program evaluation and program proposals, door-to-door, payroll or timesheets, nightly rounds, and incident reports. BOSS checklist. We strive to consistently have clean and well-maintained facilities where student housing professionals deliver excellent customer service while creating a real sense of community. To that end, we have developed the basic operating systems and standards, BOSS, that each property must follow. These standards ensure that a resident of any ACC or CCC community can expect a certain level of excellent service. As a student staff member, you have the responsibility to help maintain the BOSS of your property. Your manager will provide specific BOSS training to you when you first begin your role, as well as continual supervision as the standards are implemented. The BOSS checklist outlines all the required tasks to be done at each desk shift. If you are attending a desk shift, please ensure to sign off the checklist and file properly in the management office. And sometimes items are desk specific, so please ensure to sign off the items that are pertinent to your desk location. Petty cash. Whenever a program to be hosted requires a purchase to be made, the staff member should submit a petty cash request form to their RLC. Once the items have been purchased using cash, the staff member should return the original receipts to the RLC for processing. If the staff member had to use a credit card or debit card to make the purchase, with expressed approval from their RLC, a reimbursement form will need to be completed and the original receipts will need to be photocopied and added to the reports and sent to the RLC. Program proposals. This document contains the details about your program or event idea that you intend to host. This includes the name of the program, date of the program, goal of the program, marketing strategies, etc. Program proposals should be completed in a timely manner as stipulated by your RLC. Failure to complete this administrative task may result in a counseling statement. Program evaluations. This document evaluates a program or event that has been hosted. It allows for a critical reflection piece of what worked, what didn't work, and what could be improved upon. This document should be submitted within 12 hours of the program being hosted. Failure to complete this administrative task may result in a counseling statement. Door-to-door. These forms are utilized at any time a staff member is actively participating in a door-to-door campaign, check-in, meeting, program, etc. Each month, the staff member will be required to walk their floors to meet with the residents and ensure that they're receiving the full support that they need. Agenda items, takeaways, upcoming events calendar, etc. must be prepared before this meeting. Staff will be required to complete a door-to-door form once this task has been completed. Whether it is a hard copy or a soft copy of this form, ensure that the form is completed in full, free of errors, and legible. Payroll or timesheet. Each staff member is required to submit in a timely manner their payroll information on a weekly basis. This is done through Employee Domain (EMPULSE) and should be an accurate representation of the hours that you have worked and the task that you have completed. Now, if you look at your screen, you will see a screenshot of what the payroll timesheet looks like on the portal. When you're ready to submit your hours, you will always ensure that you are selecting or dragging from the left panel regular hours worked into the right panel time slots. You can then click on that blue icon and enter your details. At the top, you will see start time and end time. The start and end dates should respond or correspond with the date of the task, event, program that you have hosted or completed. Towards the middle, you will see pay items, regular hours worked. Staff should indicate the type of pay item, which is generally regular hours worked unless told otherwise. In this section, you could also find stat holiday, time and a half, but again, it will generally be regular hours worked. At the job section, you want to indicate where the location of the job is done. This is usually the property name or the main campus. In the notes section, you should always indicate the reason for the time allocated on the timesheet. This could be for a program that you hosted, assisting the RLC, helping the leasing manager, or a desk shift that you've completed. Once you have completed everything on this form, you want to save the data. Again, ensure that you enter the task completed into the notes section. This allows the RLC to verify the time submitted for any task completed. Nightly rounds. This document requires each staff member to complete a rounds log that allows staff to keep track of the number of trends that are in the building. It should be completed at the end of your on-call or nightly round shift and be submitted before the next day, within 12 hours. Staff members should ensure that they are entering each outlined area in the nightly rounds log to check the surrounding areas and make sure that everything is okay and in order. Now, during your rounds, if you come across any discrepancies, damages, or anything that is out of the ordinary, you want to notify the manager on duty, the maintenance manager, or the maintenance personnel on duty, and submit work orders accordingly. When you're finished doing your round, you will have to submit the nightly rounds log, which can be found in the Teams channel for your property. Your RLC will show you the proper way to conduct a nightly round and a nightly round log. Incident reports. An incident report is a written chronological description of events and facts that occurred in a specific incident. It helps managers to appropriately address conduct issues. It provides our side of incidents in terms of what did our staff do, what did we experience during an incident, etc. Our ability to appropriately respond to a situation hinges on the effectiveness of the incident report. It is important that the report is written and submitted correctly. This document can also be subpoenaed in court if there was ever a cause. So you want to ensure that whenever you are writing an incident report, that you're following all the protocols that we will discuss. The incident report should be submitted when there is any lease violation or policy violation, which always requires a staff response, when there is a reported roommate conflict, when there is any damage to personal or community members' property, anytime an emergency personnel comes to the property, anytime there is a significant concern about a resident, anytime you think, I wonder if I should write an incident report, you should write it. The report should state only the facts, be written in third person, be written thoroughly, and written professionally. The report should include where the incident occurred, who was involved, what happened, what time the incident occurred, what the issues were, and who was present and what their role was. Where do you submit this incident report? The report should be submitted on the property's incident report form, which can be found on your Teams channel for your property or you can ask your RLC. Tip: when you write your report in Microsoft Word, this helps with formatting, spell check, grammar, etc. And then you could copy and paste it into the incident report form. This also helps to prevent an entire loss of documents in the instance that the internet crashes or the web form stops working, as Microsoft Word autosaves. When is the report due? Well, the report is due no later than 24 hours after an incident has occurred. However, please submit this within 12 hours of the incident. This is because the quicker you submit it and the earlier you submit it, the more fresh the incident is in your mind and memory, and you will have everything down on the paper. If you wait for later than 12 hours or proceed to go to 24 hours, there are things that you may forget. So please submit the incident report as soon as possible. Report construction. Now, when you're constructing the incident report, there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. When it comes to names, never refer to yourself in first person. Always use third person reference. Include title, example, community assistant, Don, RA, residence life coordinator. The format should be, anytime you are writing the last name for a person, it should be written in all capital letters. For example, first name, last name, which you can see is in full capital letters. For example, residence manager, Jomo McCormack. Note that the last name is in all capital letters, and also that the title for Jomo McCormack is there. Once you have established the parties involved initially, you should only use their last name moving forward. McCormack arrived at the property at approximately. Property name and address. Include the property name and address at the start of the report in the first paragraph. Again, this document may be subpoenaed in court, so we want to ensure that the document is written completely and full, so if a judge or juror were supposed to look at that document, they have all the information that they need. The date and time should also be in the first paragraph of the report. Places. Always be specific with the location of incidents, especially if there is movement from one place to another. For example, if the incident initially started on the first floor, but you somehow moved into an RLC office or the leasing office, you want to ensure that you're noting the time that that transfer happened and the location where that transfer occurred. Time. Be sure to include specific or approximate times for any major changes in the report. Example, you want to know the time for the arrival of security, EMS, TPS, the manager on duty, another community assistant, Don or RA that is coming to help. Facts. Remember to state only the facts. Never introduce or include your own thoughts, bias, or opinion into the report. You're only stating who, what, where, and when, but never why. Never assume the why, unless an involved party gave a reason for the incident. Even then, you should simply include their comments in quotations. Something important to note, although you will be prompted to enter the information above when filling out the report, in an effort to ensure the document's completeness, please follow the tips above very strictly. Now let's review some tips for writing a good summary report. Always write in third person, especially when referring to yourself. Use the 5 senses to fully describe the incident. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you smell? Etc. Use direct quotations where appropriate. If a resident uses profanities with you, quote them and spell it out fully. Do not use symbols in place of letters. Don't include your theories of why the incident took place. You can describe what you saw, heard, and smell, however. For example, Resident Smith smelled strongly of alcohol and was slurring his words when he spoke with C.A. Jones. Versus, Smith had clearly been drinking all night. You will notice that in the second sentence, you are including your theories or bias where you don't know in fact if Smith had been drinking all night or if Smith smelling strongly of alcohol and slurring his words could be as a result of a medical condition. Never include your theory of the final outcome or however the situation should be resolved. For example, I think this resident should be evicted. He is nothing but trouble. Now we will look at a practice example. On Tuesday, July 14th, 2020 at Centennial Place Residence, located at 937 Progress Avenue, Scarborough, Ontario, M1G3T8, Residence Assistant Barry Allen received a call at approximately 2:37 a.m. from Leasing Assistant Iris West regarding noise and the smell of marijuana coming on the fourth floor. West informed Allen that the campus security had been contacted and was en route to the building. 3 security guards, Clark Kent, Lewis Lane, and Lex Luther, arrived at the property at 2:40 a.m. and met Allen in the main lobby area. Allen, accompanied by security guards Kent, Lane, and Luther, proceeded to the fourth floor where immediately off exiting the elevators, all parties heard loud music and smelled a noxious odor that appeared to be marijuana in the hallway. Allen consulted Kent, Lane, and Luther on the smell of the noxious odor, to which they said it appeared to be the smell of marijuana. Upon investigation of the surrounding area, Allen identified that the music and noxious odor was coming from behind the door of Suite 407. Allen knocked on the suite door 3 times, followed by introduction of his name and title before the door was opened by resident Oliver Queen. Allen asked that Queen stop the music before introducing himself once more and explained the reason for the visit. Allen asked Queen's permission to enter the suite to determine who else was there and to address the issue. Queen complied and upon entering the suite, Allen saw 4 other students, John Diggle, resident of 407, Laurel Lance, resident of 415, Roy Harper, and Slade Wilson, who were guests of Queen. Additionally, Allen saw that the entire suite was completely filled with smoke, saw finely chopped dried leaves with a small white paper in the shape of a square on the countertop, and noticed that the smell of marijuana was more potent on the inside. Okay, let's talk about this report. At the very beginning, you will notice that in orange, the date, time, property name, and location is there in the first paragraph. Remember, this is important because if this report is subpoenaed in court, we want to make sure that the document is completely written and there's every information there for the disposal of the judge or lawyer. In green, you will see the title of the involved parties: resident assistant, leasing assistant, resident, guest. In orange, you will notice that the last name is in capital letters. So at the initial introduction of these people, their last name is in all caps: Allen, Kent, Lane, Luther, West. The pink indicates that the capitalized last name is used only after the initial introduction of that person. So for example, in the first paragraph, second line, you will see we have resident assistant Barry Allen received a call at approximately 2:37 a.m. and leasing assistant Iris West, that is written in capital letters. However, in the first paragraph, third line, West informed Allen instead of Barry West informed Iris Allen. Again, you want to make sure after you've initially introduced each person, you're going forward with using their last name written in all capital letters for the rest of the report. Now, if you take some time to pause the video and read through the paragraph on your own, you will notice that it is completely written in third person. Barry Allen, who is the residence assistant that is writing this report, did not refer to himself in first person, but instead third person. So he said, residence assistant Barry Allen received a phone call instead of I received a phone call. Again, if you pay close attention, you'll notice that there are only facts in this report. At no point in time was there any bias, theories, or introduction of suppositions. Use of senses. You would see in the second paragraph that immediately upon exiting the elevators, the sense of hearing and smell was used to try to determine one, where the location of the noise was coming from, and also the smell. Following the flow of the paragraphs, you will see that it is easy to follow and it just flows. When you're writing your incident reports, you want to write it as close as possible to what happened in the instance that it did happen. Never try to be all over the place, and ensure that the flow is there and it's easy to read and understand. Again, you will see that there was no opinion or supposition, theories, or anything of the sorts that was in this report. If you have any questions or need to practice this incident report writing, connect with your RLC or a returner. They will have vast knowledge on how to have this done correctly, and they will have no problem in showing you how to do it. Again, if you have any questions, just connect with your RLC and ensure that you're writing the incident reports following these guidelines and principles so that it is standard throughout the property and that everyone understands when looking at the report what the expectations are and it's easy to follow and read.